Wow, it is one sweltering day here in the Bay Area, but we are thrilled to be spending some time together here. We're going to be focusing today on a mini lesson that is titled Living Libraries, and it is really to honor our ancestors and our elders, and we are just so blessed today to have as our guest Dr. Yvonne Daniel. She is Emerita from Smith College, and she is also her doctoral studies and her scholarship is in the field of cultural dance anthropology. So we're going to have quite a treat today as you see her get us up and dance. I want to introduce you to our co-partner today, and that is Dr. Gudger. And Dr. Gudger is our MIDC member, and she is the mental and wellness coach for MIDC productions, especially that focus on anti-racist education. So I just want to welcome all of you today, maybe to say a quick word or two, and then we're going to kind of go into a little bit of a discussion.
Hi, and welcome, Dr. Daniel. It is a pleasure to have you in my realm, and I look forward to learning from our elder today.
Good afternoon. I'm really pleased to be here too, but I really wanted to say that we're at this time of the pandemic, and I think it's really important that we share our time in different ways, and we let go some of the presumptions that come from contemporary society, like the school is closed. Well, that's just a building, and in times past, we learned a lot from our elders.
Absolutely.
And this is one of those experiences of learning something about what happens when you don't have TV and you don't have, all this electronic equipment, but you have each other and you can sit down and learn. So that's some of the things that we're going to explore today.
Okay. So stay tuned. Get ready for an exciting presentation.
I thought that we'd give a little bit of a background for why this is so important to us to be able to offer those in the community and beyond. And so as Dr. Gudger and I have had some wonderful opportunities just before this particular mini lesson to do several mini lessons with my grandchildren who are 13 and 15. And it was really to focus in on not only the coronavirus and how that might be impacting them from a standpoint of anxiety, but also to really address issues around Black Lives Matter, since they spent most of the summer thus far really out there trying to help to see change, as young as they are. And so we did these various lessons, and we were thrilled to do them through the MIDC Kuumba, which is one of our Nguza principles that we talk about our principles where we're talking about creativity. And so we have a model through MIDC, it's the Kuumba learning model. And through that model, we decided to do a unit from our human family to do some lessons from that. And so the focus is really on anti-racist education. How can we teach our children in cultural ways and integrate that cultural creativity into all the things that they're learning? And really taking it to home. So as families are nervous about going back, helping their kids, the kids are nervous about doing things online, and our teachers, of course, are just racking their brains as to what to come up with. We're just really trying to offer some ideas for family.
Yes.
And so I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, some ideas for family, and bringing it back to the human family concept, we start with our elders. We have, as a culture, we have an oral history, and we valued that throughout history. When the children would sit around and listen to the elders tell stories, things that we didn't believe, but now we find out that maybe they were true. They were passing it down. So what a great time for all of us, whatever it is you're going through now, this pandemic, social justice issues, to take that moment to sit down and listen and hear and learn about who we are and how much we are valued. And we have value and mean something to each other. So it's a great way to bring in Dr. Daniel so she can make that real for them that's going to be listening.
Storyteller.
Well, I'm really interested in your program because it echoes some of the things that I think I've been working on with my family.
as a grandmother, I remember having my mother here with us. So we had 4 generations in the family, in the house for, you know, a couple of years actually. But in the summer, at the end of the school year, I made a rule that the last week of school, everybody prepared, they finished their school, and then they came to grandmother's house, and we had grandmother week. And my mom told stories, and I told stories, and at first the kids were kind of giggly. I had them at that time when they were between 5 and 15, and now they're 15 to 30, so it's been a while. But I remember how it impacted them, and they still remember how it impacted them. So those grandmother stories and the uncle stories and the grandpa stories and the auntie stories are really important because they bring us back to African heritage. And I'm sure in other cultures, they're their ancestor heritages as well. Because in all of those indigenous cultures, there is a connection to something that is very, very natural for human beings. And it has a connection to nature. So a lot of the dances and the songs and the chants are about the naturalness of the human beings and the connection with nature and other human beings. So the first thing is, you'll notice that a lot of the dances, and we're going to learn one of them later, but a lot of those dances are very organic. It's like stepping and stepping and stepping, and then putting your weight on one side and the other. But it also has this deep concentration on the breath, so that you inhale and then you exhale. And the movement of the inhalation and the exhalation really starts the body to undulate in certain ways, or it goes fast and percussive, you know, or it just puts you back in touch with relaxation and lessening of the anxieties. Lessening of the anxieties of whatever's going on. You know, you went hunting with your dad and your uncle and you didn't catch anything, you know, so you come back and you talk about that in different ways. You imitate the bird songs, you imitate the water when it trickles down in waterfalls, but you look at nature, you imitate it, and you use your body to express it non-verbally. So those old stories of what we did in the old time when we didn't have this and we didn't have that, or we lamented we weren't successful about this or not happy with that, we found happiness by being together and by sharing some of the old-timey stuff with contemporary issues too. You know, so I'm hoping that I can share some things with you from my research among older ancestors and ancestor worshipers.
Nature was very important to all of our ancestors. We tend to be a little bit distant from it today. But the earth and the water and the lightning and storms like we had this morning.
Yeah, that was amazing.
All those things were very, very important, and they had a natural significance, a natural symbol in nature, and they also had a personification symbol that we shifted. Our ancestors talked about things in nature as if they were people, and they became divinities. Some people call them gods and goddesses, but we don't want to get into that because that makes people think that somehow it's anti-Christian or anti-Muslim or anti-Jewish or whatever. It's not anti-anything. It is about a relationship that is positive with nature. So the first thing is ancestors. We honor our ancestors before we honor anything. And every time we say the name of an ancestor who is passed on, we reach for the ground and we touch the ground. So sometimes we will say Mayuba or Majuba or Mayuba, which means we ask for permission for the ancestors. We ask for permission and we pour water onto the ground when we talk about the ancestors, and we call them and we want them to come and be spiritual inspirations to what we're getting ready to do. And so libations for the ancestors is the first thing that we do. Then my research among all of these different elders in the Caribbean, in Cuba, in Haiti, in Martinique, in Suriname, in Brazil, they would always tell me that after we say hello and ask permission to have a relationship, to share knowledge around the circle, around the campfire, around the family, we have to then talk to all of the elements that make up nature. So the water is sometimes salt water, and sometimes it's clear water. So we have Yemaya for the salt water, and we have Oshun for the sweet water, they call it. In other cultures, we have, in other parts of nature, we have the Shango, which was the lightning and thunder this morning. But also we have Oya, who is the same day and the same kind of energy from the lightning and thunder, but in female form. In female form, where she is air that is pushing down and coming from the atmosphere and into the human community. Yeah. And so we have all things in nature. We have names for those orishas or lawas or divinities or whatever you want to call those special, inspirational parts of the Supreme Being. And so they all have a dance, they have a rhythm, they have several songs. And why are those important? Why do you think that dancing and music making was important? Because those African enslaved peoples, when they got to these Americas, if they couldn't remember anything else, they didn't have anything to bring except what was inside of them. So those who knew the songs of their people and their ancestors, those were the people that were remembered. And those are the ways in which we learn and we pass on those songs and dances and all of the lore from our ancestors on the continent. We bring that to the Americas.
And so that's why I decided this to be titled Living Libraries. I know that was some of your work that came out of one of your publications, and so I just thought it was very appropriate for today for us to be able to do that, right?
It's a proverb, and it's seen in Ghana, in Nigeria, in Ivory Coast. And it means when an ancestor dies, a library is burned. And it means that we need to really have that big resource of knowledge always.
So I hope we're all hearing that loud and clear. And we're about to go on to give you a little more information. You've just heard a little bit from Dr. Daniel about the meaning of dance as it relates to our culture, and you heard a little bit from Dr. Gudger on the value of that for our families. And so I want you to kind of think about, get ready, because we're getting ready to do, we're getting ready to be blessed with being able to be taught some of the Yemaya movement. And so we're inviting family to get up and to join us. It's just like how I've been spending time with my granddaughters of all ages doing TikTok. Yeah. So, I mean, I'd love for them to do more than TikTok. And let's really make it cultural, and let's make it such that we do understand the power that we have as a people through our ancestors and through our elders. Yeah. So here we go.
Thank you, Dr. Daniel.